Hello, everybody. Welcome to the fourth episode of the Geekcast podcast. My name is Greg St. Clair, and here with me always is
Dan Whitehead.
And this is Sunday. Happy Sunday, happy superhero Sunday.
Woo!
Yeah, I'm gonna talk about this. I know Dan loves when I bring all this kind of stuff up. So every Sunday, for me, is always I wear a superhero shirt. I used to post a bunch of stuff on Instagram until I realized I was the only person in the world who was doing that kind of stuff. So that kind of made me, feel a little bad about myself. But, Superhero Sunday, it's a whatever day. Read your favorite comic book. You can watch your favorite superhero movie. Play your favorite superhero game. So viewers, all 9 of you, if you really want to help me out here every Sunday on any social media site, post a picture of something superhero-esque of what you're doing, and hashtag Superhero Sunday, hashtag Geekcast. That'd be great. That'd be really cool. Wouldn't that be cool, Dan?
That would be cool. We can start a movement.
We get a movement, yeah. Maybe the 11 people movement. Here we go. It's gonna happen.
We joked last time, and we joke now. I mean, the viewership is getting there. We're building our audience.
Yeah.
And that's the big thing, obviously, and so we'll get there. But anyway, as always, we always do a pick of the week ever since the second episode. And so, Greg, do you want to go first this time? Mix it up.
Yeah, sure. So on Amazon Prime Day, probably the biggest letdown day for a lot of people. I was fortunate to purchase Kingsman: The Secret Service on Blu-ray for like $7, something like that, compared to like 20 something. And Kingsman came out in about February, and Dan and I saw it together for our friend Luke's birthday, and we were obsessed with it, to say the least. There was a website where you could like register a secret serviceman, and you'd like play like a game and all this other kind of stuff, which is really cool. But it's essentially it's kind of like a James Bond meets Austin Powers in a way.
Mm-hmm.
It's got like the like the secret, all like the cool like secret gadgets and everything that it's portrayed as serious, but the comedy of the Austin Powers stuff is still there, which is really cool. There's a Colin Firth's in it, Michael Caine,
Michael
Samuel
Caine.
Jackson, Michael Caine, and it's a really great movie, very actiony. You're captivated the whole time. They're talking about making it into a franchise. I believe that's correct.
Yes, they approved a second one.
Is it going to be an Origins one?
They haven't really said a lot of details, but Matt Vaughn thinks he's going to come back, which will be his first sequel, I believe, because he's never he's been on sequels, but he's never done a sequel himself of a movie he did the first one of. That is.
Oh, hopefully get right. So those of you who have seen it, hopefully get an origin story, so you can understand that. I don't want to do any major spoilers right now, but this is also the fashion thing too. As I want to point out as well, those of you who have seen it or have seen images of it, trailers of it, the attire in the movie is very high class suits, accessories, all that kind of thing. There's actually a website called Mr. Porter, where they have all this stuff, and it's very expensive stuff. Like out of this like fucking roll, like a pair of shoes, like the Oxfords, are like I think $900 or something around that.
Something crazy.
Very, very fucking expensive, but it's very, very nice, high-end clothing. So if you guys want to check that out, the website's Mr. Porter. Check that out. And yeah, it's my pick of the week. Dan?
My pick of the week is to go in the theme of, since on Monday the 15th, the long-awaited sequel to Kill a Mockingbird, Go Set a Watchman came out. So my pick of the week is the movie version, which came out in 1962 and starred Gregory Peck in the Academy Award-winning role of Atticus Finch.
It's okay.
Yeah, words are hard sometimes. But so I got to finally sit down and watch the entire movie. I had seen pieces before, like with English class and whatnot, but I finally let me sit down and watch the whole movie, and loved every second of it. Thought the cast was great. It was actually Robert Duvall's first on-screen, performance as Boo Radley. So that was kind of cool. Small part, but it got him in there, and he didn't say a word, so he just had to stand there. But awesome movie. Still holds up to this day. Obviously, we know it's set in the 30s, so it's not like we're trying to believe that it's present day anymore. So that works. And Gregory Peck does an outstanding job as Atticus. You believe him, and definitely check that out. Also, go check out Go Set a Watchman, which we were just talking about the storyline. We believe Atticus is now a racist 20 years later, and when Scout comes back. Is that right?
Yeah, I guess when Scout comes back to visit her dad, she catches him in a white supremacist meeting.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, she's like, I believed in you. You had all this faith in you. And yeah. So apparently, it takes a completely different turn, whole 180. Atticus Finch's character, but at the same time, though I have not read it, just plot summaries and different articles online, it seems like it's going to make for an interesting book with Scout trying to cope with that for somebody who she's really been influenced by and believing all these years, and have him just be a completely different person, after all these years later.
Yeah, so that's what I was going to say. Actually, was she like looked up to him as a hero and loved when he was home and all that kind of thing, and now to see him be a racist and with the white supremacist groups definitely hit her hard. So it'll be an interesting read. So I think the hardcover right now is out, and it's usually between $16 and $25. And then I'm sure the paperback version is short to follow, so just look out for that. And I know on Amazon, even the first one, To Kill a Mockingbird, they just can't keep them in their stores, I guess. So definitely a hot read, but
No, it's a great
one worth checking out.
That's probably like top 3 books I read in high school.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. Last time I read it was high school, freshman year,
Yeah,
and we actually acted out the scene, the courtroom scene, and I actually got to play Atticus, which was kind of fun. Yeah, so it was a cool scene, and so it sticks with me. That scene about when he throws the ball to Tom Robinson, here, catch this, or in the movie it's a cup, but we used a ball, and how he, the left hand, clearly they show you that he's innocent, but because of the times and where they were, they found him guilty, which is a shame, and racism is a powerful thing. Anyway, that turned a little dark there.
Super fucking deep.
But definitely check it out. That's what I'm getting at. So jumping ship here a little bit.
Let's go from racism and all that kind of stuff. Let's jump ship. Ant-Man.
Yes.
Ant-Man came out this weekend. I saw it. I was able to see it Thursday night. I like how movie theaters are doing that now. You get to see the Friday premieres on Thursday night. I enjoy that personally. Mm-hmm. Dan, you saw it today, didn't you?
I saw it this morning, and I realized that today is actually the three anniversary, I guess. I don't know, that's not really a big deal, but of Dark Knight Rises. Came out 3 years ago today, because I had a on Time Hop. It told me it said, "Oh, waiting in line to see Dark Knight Rises," and it said 3 years ago. I was like, "Holy crap, that was 3 years ago!" Time flies. But
that was the first Batman movie I ever saw in theaters.
Yeah, it was. I had seen Dark Knight when it came out. I remember we were on vacation. Mm-hmm. Both great movies. Obviously, Rises had its flaws, but every movie does. But sticking with Ant-Man, I saw it today. My mom and I went, and she actually enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. It was a refreshing Marvel movie, because I know I was telling Greg before, I was getting a little tired of Marvel movies. I found them to be a little stale. They kind of just fell into this routine and then just kind of pushed them out, and here it is. And it always just seemed like they were building to something. So this one seemed different enough that I was like, okay, I really like this one, and the whole idea of somebody being able to shrink, it was different. I thought the effects worked. I believed with the bugs or the ants specifically, and him shrinking, I believed it. I got behind the characters and stuff. I know you wanted to give a full plot synopsis, Greg, as far as like what happened in the movie. Are you good to do that?
I'm here. Sorry, I'm just plugging in my computer real quick. This is we're doing a Skype podcast right now, guys. The second one we tried, so We apologize for the final cut if there's any cut-ins or cutouts or anything like that. But yeah, so full plot synopsis is what we have on IMDb, which is pretty much my go-to site for anything movies.
Same.
Is armed with a super suit with the astonishing ability to shrink in scale but increase in strength. Conman Scott Lang must embrace his inner hero and help his mentor, Dr. Hank Pym, plan and pull off a heist that will save the world. And it's pretty much spot on. But I don't know, one of my biggest complaint. I love the movie. First of all, let me say that I thought it was. I agree with Dan. It's a nice, refreshing change in the Marvel movies. I mean, this was written or co-written by Paul Rudd and Adam McKay. And those of you who know Adam McKay, he's the writer for pretty much all the Will Ferrell movies.
Mm-hmm.
Um, uh, it was too like it was too you just like this is what it is and you just have to get it and like there's no other way. Because for instance, oh by the way, before we talk about any of this stuff, huge alerts. We're gonna be talking about pretty much the entire
spoiler
movie,
alerts, okay,
as well as the end credits. Spoiler alerts. Sorry, enunciation.
well, it got cut off a little bit to digitize.
Okay, got you. But yeah, so forewarned. So starting now. The scene with Corey Stoll,
Mm-hmm.
like you just all of a sudden had to know that his character Darren Cross could fight and he was athletic and he was able to go into battle per se with Ant-Man.
Right. Well, it
Like
seemed like they forced him being the villain like down your throat. Like they made sure from right off the bat, they're like, he's the villain, and you have to know that.
yeah, like there was a lot of like blatantly obvious things where they were like this is it. Like we don't need to give you a backstory or like not even necessarily a backstory, just like a reason of like why this person is. And like yeah, they talk about it later with Darren Cross used to being Hank Pym's mentor, but like even that
No,
it
his
just,
protege.
protege. Thank you. Um, even that was just like it's just like the writers just throwing it in our face, like what's what.
Right.
You know what I mean? And and I think the other Marvel movies do this well, especially with, for example, Captain America 2: Winter Soldier. Like, you had no clue that Bucky was the Winter Soldier unless you read the comics, obviously. But as an audience standpoint, you had no clue, and it wasn't all these like hints or anything. Like you had no idea like who this person was, and then you saw it was Bucky, and it's just like mind blown.
Right.
Or does that make sense? Like it was just too like this is the information. Let me spoon feed you exactly what's going to help move along the story.
Right. And then with Michael Douglas playing Hank, which he was a good choice for an older Hank Pym, but they definitely just spoon fed you like here he's troubled, he has problems with his daughter, and like all that kind of stuff. Though I have to say, his makeup for that opening scene where he looked younger was fantastic.
Oh yeah, it looked like from Wall Street.
Yeah, like it looks like they picked him straight out of like the '80s or whatever when he was younger, and just like plopped him in for that scene, and then just put him back in the '80s. Like he
That was
looked great.
great. That was great. Did they change the Stark, or is that Stark the guy from the second Iron Man movie?
He's from Mad Men. I can never remember his name, but he played Howard Stark back in 2010 when they did the home movies that Tony was watching.
Yes. Okay. I'm just making sure they're like keeping things consistent because I see a bunch of different Howard Starks all the time, and I get really confused. So okay, no, that makes sense.
And then
That makes
Dominic
sense.
Cooper plays him in like the 40s, 50s era.
Right. Right.
Yeah. Which I think they both play a good Howard Stark. I think I like Dominic Cooper a little better, but they
Uh huh.
both do a good job.
No, definitely, definitely.
Um, were you going to say something?
I was gonna like keep talking about the movie. So with like and even with like so Scott Lang, who's played by Paul Rudd.
I love him.
I love Paul Rudd. Anything Paul Rudd's in is hilarious.
Yeah,
It's
he does a
always
good
good.
job.
He always does a great job. Um, they they said, now you can correct me if I'm wrong if I missed this, but they said that he was only charged for one crime,
Mm-hmm.
which was he broke into a company who stole his research and then fired him or something like that. and or no, the company like stole money, and he disagreed with the company. But and so what he did is he broke into the company and gave all the money back that the company stole from people. But that was his only crime, and he was put in jail for that for a number of years. Didn't see his daughter. It's a whole superhero thing with superheroes and daughters and their family. But he was the way he broke into Hank Pym's house was just so well, and for somebody to just after one break in to know how to do that well, I don't know, it didn't make any sense to me.
So what it was is this company Vista Group or something like that was overcharging people and taking that extra money to like keep for themselves, and he hacked into their network or whatever and gave the money back to the people, and that's what he was caught for. That doesn't mean it was the only crime he committed, though.
Okay, because I don't know, they just it was more like spoon feeding, and before like you actually saw him like in the act of like a cat burglary.
Mm-hmm.
It was pretty much you're gonna have to believe what we say until we actually show you it.
Yeah, no, I think that they just only caught him for the one, but he's done a lot of like small jobs here and there, like breaking into Hank Pym's house.
Okay, that was just confusing for me because to have all of that just all of a sudden after one. Okay, that makes a lot more sense. I feel really dumb right now.
No, it's okay. I have to say though, my favorite scene was definitely when he went to the Avengers headquarters and fought Falcon.
Oh
That was
yeah,
so cool.
that was so cool. Yeah, Anthony Mackie comes in because what is it? Hank Pym needs something.
He needs something
From
that Stark helped him build or something, but it's located at the Avengers headquarters.
But they don't. But he doesn't know that. He thinks that it's just located at some abandoned warehouse,
Right.
in like upstate New York or something like that.
Yes.
So by the time Paul Rudd gets there on his trusty flying ant Antony,
Mm-hmm.
it turns out it's the Avengers headquarters.
Right.
So that was great because the whole scene, Paul Rudd is like shrunk and he's like in like a grassy area on like the roof, and Anthony Mackie like lands on the helipad or whatever in his flight suit, and he like can scan him, and Paul Rudd's like, "Don't worry, he can't see me." And Anthony Mackie's like, "I can see you." That was really funny. No, I definitely agree. That was probably my favorite scene in the movie as well.
And what was interesting was Hank Pym throwing shade kind of at the Avengers, because even though in the comics obviously he's an original Avenger, but he kind of throws shade in the movie because Paul Rudd's like, "Why don't you just call the Avengers in?" He goes, "Oh well, I would have if we or no, they're too busy dropping cities on Earth or something like that," and it's kind of like a little nudge at them for just like kind of blowing things out of proportion, going too big with stuff. So I thought that was kind of interesting that he just gives that little dig at him.
It could also be another hint at Civil War, which Dan, if you want to talk about, let's talk about the end of the movie.
Okay.
At the end of the movie, like the very last scene, Michael Pena, who's in it, is also very very funny. He plays Louis or Louise.
Louise, yeah.
Louise. He's like telling stories. Is it like twice? And he tells a story to Paul Rudd of how he heard about this job.
Mm-hmm.
And if any of you have seen the show Drunk History on Comedy Central, it's kind of like that, where the narrator's speaking and the characters in the story are like mouthing what the narrator's saying.
Yeah, right.
It's really, really funny. And the last scene with that storytelling is basically saying that Falcon is looking for Ant-Man.
Mm-hmm.
And Dan was talking to me before we got started today about this theory he had with that. Dan, if you want to preach.
So, obviously, the final scene, there's two. The first one is Hank Pym.
These are the end credit scenes, by the way, end credit scenes.
Hank Pym brings his daughter down their house. Most of the movie, not most of it, but a lot of it takes place in this older house that they have. And so he brings her down in the basement and is explaining how they used to have a suit that his late wife and her mother were working on before she went missing into the quantum zone or something like that, where basically she's way too small to even be seen and beyond Like, she was already small, and then she went even smaller. But that's a whole different conversation.
We'll talk about that in a second.
Yeah, and so he's like, oh, we were working on this suit, and we never got to finish it, but now I think you and I should. And it was basically a Wasp suit, more closer to the comics, and a little lighter. It wasn't like the red, like exactly like Ant-Man's was. And then the second post-credit scene, which was more of the important one as far as Civil War goes, was...
Very important.
Bucky was... It looked like he was almost like trying to smash his own robot arm. That's how I was taking it. And then...
I thought that Falcon just had him handcuffed to the chair.
Okay.
I think that's what it was. I could be wrong. But to me, that's how that looked. I wasn't entirely sure.
Either way, he's sitting in his chair kind of disheveled. And then Falcon and Captain America are speaking to one another and saying, oh, well, should we show Stark? No, but we need something from him. And Mackie, or Falcon, says, oh, I know a guy, which of course is Ant-Man. Yeah. So my theory is they're going to go seek out Ant-Man, because they already said Paul Rudd's in Civil War. They're going to find him, ask him, hey, can you help us get this thing from Stark's headquarters, whatever it is. He's going to go in and somehow get caught. And this is going to set off this chain of events of the government now saying, like, we need to register them. I think that Ant-Man's assistance is what's going to set off the events of Civil War.
Is it? Is the plot synopsis about superhero registration?
Honestly, I don't know, because we already know that it's be a lot different from the storyline, so I don't know if that's what they're still going for.
I mean, in the comics, I know that's what it is, but I don't know. To me, I agree that Ant-Man, that makes sense that Ant-Man's going to get caught. I don't think it's going to be anything have to do with superhero registration, but I think that Tony is going to realize, like, there's, like, inner conspiracies going on, which Tony Stark's probably the number one inner conspirator in the entire Avengers group. Let's just get that out of the way. But him, like, recognizing this between Cap, who is supposed to be, you know, Mr. Honesty, that kind of, you know, sparks a huge controversy between the Avengers, and maybe that's how they kick off. I mean, it sounds like a dumb way, but I don't think that Ant-Man getting caught will have to do anything with superhero registration.
And if I'm not mistaken, what was in the comics line? It was Goliath that was killed?
Yes, Goliath was killed.
Okay, because I think that Goliath is actually one of the names that Ant-Man went by in the comic lines before. He was also Ant-Man, Yellow Jacket. Goliath was one of them. So another theory of mine is one of the versions of Ant-Man may die in the Civil War movie, which could set off a lot of things.
So when you say Goliath, you mean he just, like, he just grows?
Yeah, so eventually I think
they're... But he's not like the actual Goliath.
Right, so they first he does shrinking, and then I guess he decides, well, if I can shrink, why don't I try and go bigger? So he makes himself bigger, and so one of the names that he goes by is Goliath. So they could use that version of a Goliath, and Ant-Man could be what sets everything off. I think Ant-Man has a big key to the Civil War.
Do we know how many more times Paul Rudd's going to be Ant-Man?
I don't know. I don't know what his contract is.
Because if that makes sense, which I think it does, that means that they could kill Ant-Man or Paul Rudd. They could kill him right there. Or maybe it's Hank Pym.
I was just say it's probably Hank Pym.
Ooh, that could be huge.
In which case, all right, more theories. I just thought of it. Hank Pym dies, right? Scott Lang, Ant-Man, is pissed, and so is Hope, right? So then they get the help of Captain America, because maybe somebody on Iron Man's side, and then that's what, like, they pin each other against, like, that's what gets pinned against each other for. Because Stark and Pym kind of don't like each other already.
Right.
So that could be, like, what kind of drives the movie.
That's an interesting theory. I kind of hope that happens, because they're not, you know, telling us shit about the movie right now, so.
Which is kind of fun, because then you get to be surprised.
No, it's definitely fun, but I'm super concerned about this movie, only because they're not doing what the comics are, and the comics are phenomenal. The comics have made me emotional just reading them, and I'm concerned because I almost think that Marvel's getting too big for their britches, and that they're not going to be able to reciprocate what's in the book in the movies, because they've been doing that very well. But Civil War is such a fucking huge storyline.
Yep.
That if they don't do it well enough, they're going to lose so many followers. So many. This movie is so this could be like a make or break point for the Marvel Universe.
Especially because a month before that is what's kicking off the DC Universe.
Yeah.
And
fucking awesome.
Yeah. And obviously we talked about last show and everything and how excited we are. So if Civil War, as you're saying, people, don't really like it, and you're like, you know what, maybe Marvel's kind of had its day, people can be like, well, I just saw that really crazy Batman Superman movie, maybe I'll go DC for a while and see what they got cooking.
Oh yeah. Which we're pro DC here at Geekcast. We don't hate Marvel, we're just pro DC.
Right, so if there was a civil war between DC and Marvel, we would take DC side.
Yeah.
We want to see that happen, America.
I don't want to see it happen.
No?
I don't want to see any crossovers, man. That's just too much. And it's so inaccurate because it's all opinionated. All what the writers are doing. It's all, it's all fiction. Like, you can't really tell who would win because both sides have substantial superpowers.
True.
That I never want to see that ever. That's just going to create so much chaos. And I can already predict if they even do that, it's just going to be, I don't want to say a draw, but there's going to be like a greater villain power somehow in the movie, and then they're going to team up and blah 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 blah. So
interesting. Yeah. Well, maybe an animated movie.
Maybe. But back to Ant-Man. I thought it was really good because it was for as far as like a humor. Let's talk about the humor for a second. I was concerned going into it because I was afraid for the Guardians of the Galaxy humor.
Okay.
I was concerned that was going to happen again. Not that I didn't like it, but I wanted this movie to be its own.
Right.
And I just didn't want that to happen. The movie's definitely its own. The way Paul Rudd, Adam McKay, as well as Edgar Wright and Joe Cornish, they did a fantastic job of putting Paul Rudd, who is normally a comedic actor.
Mm-hmm.
He does some. Is he done even any serious movies?
He's done like dramedies where they have a big hint of drama, but there's never like an absence of comedy.
Right. He always has that like subtle, like sarcastic, quirky humor.
Mm-hmm.
But putting him into the Marvel Universe was just great. They definitely did a fantastic job of doing that.
Right. And say that it was fantastic. You said it was
fantastic.
Okay, it got a little choppy there.
I apologize. Fantastic job of putting Paul Rudd into the movie.
Right. And speaking of fantastic, nice little segue here. Next month is the Fantastic Four movie.
Talking about that when that comes out.
Do you want to just do a quick prediction of what you think?
I'm looking forward to it.
Okay.
There's a lot of skeptics out there because it's another short reboot, and the prior cast I think was great. All those actors definitely could see them in the role. I'm looking forward to it. I'm a huge fan of Miles Teller. I love Kate Mara. Love Michael B. Jordan. Love what's his name? Jamie
Bell. It's good to see you love him.
Yeah. Jamie Bell. He's great. I am. I think I share the majority of the world's concern is Jamie Bell as a thing, and the CGI of the Rock Monster. I'm not entirely sure how that's going to go, but I have hope. I have hope.
Yeah.
Because it's not Sony, right? It could be worse. It could be Sony doing this movie, but it's Fox, and Fox does X-Men, and X-Men so far has been really, really good. So I have hope.
Yeah, my biggest concern too is the Thing, because I think the Thing is the coolest of the four of them, and him as CGI, no pants, kind of, does he have a thing? I don't know. I'm not getting behind it as much. I'm definitely going to see it and go into it open-minded and hope for the best kind of thing. But I also I'm not setting my hopes up really high, so that in case it is a little odd and just doesn't work, I'm not totally disappointed either.
Right.
So.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It'll be alright. It'll be okay.
Yeah, I mean they already have a second one planned, so they must have seen something and thought maybe this does work and whatever, or they're just gonna do a sequel either way and make some money.
Yeah.
For the
or
few
lose
people.
It. Yeah, whatever. Or lose it. Whatever works.
Right. Yeah. I mean, even Ant-Man kind of had a small Thursday outing, it was one of the smaller ones for a Marvel movie.
Yeah, but this weekend it just surpassed Thor and Cap 1.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, I just read that. So it's good. It's definitely a must see. As all Marvel movies are. That's the thing with Marvel Universe. If you miss one movie, you're just so out of the loop.
Right.
Like even like I didn't see Thor 2. I think I fell asleep after the first half hour. That was really boring.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll get another chance. But luckily for me, I read the comics and I know about the Infinity Gems, and all that, so I wasn't too far behind. But at the same time, it's just you got to pay attention. You got to watch the movies.
Yeah, Thor I think just keeps kind of missing out on opportunities to have a good movie, and because I think they're just misusing the character in those movies.
The other thing is like I haven't read a lot of the Thor comics. Mm-hmm. I'll admit that, but as just a the thought process of a Nordic god in another universe or another galaxy, like what do you do?
Yeah.
What the fuck do you do?
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah.
They're misusing Thor and they're underusing Hulk in Marvel. It's just a whole big thing that's just happening.
Right. I think after Ragnarok, the third Thor, I would be okay if, as much as I like Thor, I think it might be time to have him die, retire, something, kind of walk away from being a part of the Avengers and then start putting new faces in. Now they got Ant-Man and they got Scarlet Witch and Falcon, which I love. I love Falcon. I think they can do a lot with him. Yeah. And like that. So go a different direction and bring some more interesting people in.
No, definitely. They'll figure it out. They'll plan.
I'm not worried.
Yeah. Let's move on to something else. Something non-superhero related before we go back to something superhero related.
Okay.
Big controversy going on right now in kind of the Star Wars realm.
Yep.
GQ magazine. I don't know if you guys have seen this or not. Has posted it's a whole new issue with Amy Schumer. This movie Trainwreck came out this weekend. I've not seen it yet, but I'm planning on seeing it. I think it looks really funny. But it's in this GQ magazine. It's basically her doing very sexual and things with Star Wars characters.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of the higher ups of George Lucas and several different people involved in the Star Wars world have been negatively commenting on it. But also Mark Hamill is kind of brighten the mood on the whole situation a little bit. He tweets, "Got excited when I saw Amy Schumer on GQ magazine picks and thought she was cast in episode 8. We should be so lucky." So that's kind of nice,
Yeah.
Because it took me a while to get used to her humor because overall I'm not really that big a fan of women comics, or it's not comic, women comedians.
Oh, Greg, that's gonna hurt us.
It's just my opinion. There are some that are hilarious. Kristen Wiig, pretty much the entire cast of SNL. Melissa McCarthy, hilarious. I'm really excited for the new Ghostbusters movie. It's going to be coming out.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be great. But so with her humor, I was just trying to get into it. But I'm starting to like it now. I'm starting to understand it. I'm starting to relate to it in a way. So it's nice that Mark Hamill sees that as well, as that she's just funny. She's a really, really funny person, and especially with Star Wars coming out, it's a big thing they're talking about. She was just being funny with Star Wars, and people just are so sensitive. Mm-hmm. They can't take a fucking joke. But yeah, I mean, it was nice to see that.
Yeah, and Mark Hamill, of course, he kind of looks it was weird. He kind of went through a weird transition. So obviously for the movie, he was saying he needs the obligated hair and beard. So I'm thinking they're obviously going to put him in a an Obi-Wan Alec Guinness kind of role. And then when they concluded filming, and then moved to Star Wars Day, which was in May, he was all like clean shaven, pretty short hair, like that kind of thing. And then he was on an episode of The Flash where he had like kind of a short haired cut, that kind of thing. And now he's back to his long hair and beard again. So that makes me think that they're going to start filming episode 8 pretty soon.
With Amy Schumer.
With Amy Schumer, yeah.
Hopefully.
Maybe. I don't know. I don't know what kind of role she would play.
Nah, probably not. She might be in the Spaceballs too.
That could be fun.
That could be funny.
Yeah, and I hope Spaceballs 2 happens. I love Mel Brooks. I think he's a comedic genius, and love that he's still alive and wants to do this. He wants to do a Spaceball. First off, if you haven't seen Spaceballs, go out and if they still have a Blockbuster near you or a Redbox or
Blockbuster does not exist. Don't even talk about Blockbuster
okay.
right now. Redbox.
Anyway, find a way to watch Spaceballs because that movie is hysterical. Especially if you're a Star Wars fan, you need to watch it because you'll get the references so much more, and it'll be that much more funnier to you. Mm-hmm. But he wants to do a second one all these years later called Spaceballs 2: The Quest for More Money.
Because it's pretty much what's happening right now.
Right.
Don't get me wrong, I'm excited to see where they go with the episode 7, but it's pretty much there's no new ideas and for any new movies, so they just keep rebooting all these old movies.
Yeah, I mean,
which I'm fine with.
I'm very excited. You can even ask my mom when we were watching the previews. Batman vs Superman and Star Wars was both shown, and I was just having like a fangirl moment because seeing those trailers on the big screen, I was like, wow, I can finally make out what I was looking at, and just the sound, and there was nothing cooler than hearing on the IMAX 17.1 surround or whatever it was, hearing seeing the black screen and then hearing Chewie. And then it shows Harrison Ford and Chewie and going, we're home. And I was like, Star Wars! And I was so very excited. Oh my god, movie! So, I'm very excited, very stoked for that. I think on the show we talked about did we do our most anticipated movies of the year?
I think we gave a list.
Do you want to do that?
I need to see a list of movies that are coming out. I know movies that I want to see throughout the year, but I know you have it plotted down. You actually took time and wrote what you want to see down.
Yeah, so I'll just mention mine.
Go ahead. I'll list some that I want to see, but you can go ahead.
Okay, so if I see 3 more movies this year and that's it has to be these 3. Creed, which is the spin-off of Rocky.
Which I'm in.
What'd you say? Oh, you're in. Yes, that's right. You were an extra. Unless that entire sequence is cut out.
But I don't think it's going to be cut out, but I was only there for one day, and they filmed that entire final fight scene over a period of 5 days, so you probably won't even see me. I'm in the back fucking row, there's no way. But I'm in it.
Besides, if any random people that don't know us listen to this, they don't even know what we look like anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
So, they may see you and then have no idea. So anyway, Creed, which is centers around Apollo Creed's son, Adonis, who they never met because those who've seen Rocky know Apollo died in the fourth one, excuse me. So now he wants to be a boxer, Adonis, and he seeks out pretty much the only one who thinks can help him, and that is, of course, is Rocky Balboa. So this movie is done by what's his name?
The guy from Fruitvale Station. I got it. Give me a second.
Okay, well, I'll keep going. It's Michael B. Jordan's. It plays Adonis, and then Ryan Coogler.
Ryan Coogler.
Yeah, Ryan Coogler directs it. Who did Fruitvale Station? They've worked together before, and it's the first time we'll see Rocky in a supporting role and not being the main character. He's not going to fight. And so this to me made the most sense as far as to continue his story. Where else would you put him except to be a trainer? And they tried to do that with 5, and 5 just didn't come across that way too well. Mm-hmm. And so they did 6 because Stallone has said many times he's I couldn't have it end on 5. It just couldn't be that way. So 6 was pretty cool. It's one of my favorites actually of the series. Mm-hmm. And then this one, so it's not a Rocky 7, as Stallone said. It's actually a Creed 1, just featuring Rocky. And so I'm really looking forward to that. I'm a huge fan of Rocky. I look up to Sylvester Stallone. I think he had a tough upbringing and struggled to get into the acting world because of how he looked and sounded and all that stuff. So I'm really behind him for that. So that's one movie. My second one, of course, is Bond 24, or more commonly known as Spectre, which follows Daniel Craig as James Bond for his fourth outing now. And it has ties to Skyfall as well as Casino Royale and Quantum of Solace by bringing back Mr. White. Mm-hmm. And so really looking forward to that. It looks fantastic as far as visual. The director that did Skyfall is now back, Sam Mendes. So I feel like that same vein will still be there as far as like the dark and old Bond. I really dig. And I think that's really cool. And then, of course, the biggest one of all, which I just alluded to as I was fangirling and very excited about, Star Wars The Force Awakens. Probably the biggest or most anticipated movie of the decade, if not ever.
Yeah, like there's no way that it's not. Like for generations over the past, almost 50 years now, there's been a Star Wars movie, and for this one, for all these people to come and like finally see what they're doing, of a hopeful continuation compared to the first three. There's a lot of high hopes for seeing what they're going to do and how they're going to, play it off. So definitely.
And what's nice about it is JJ understands where most of the fans are about the prequels and Star Wars as a whole, and he's bringing it back to what we loved so much about the original, which is real locations, real things, lived in, dirty, old, kind of like, you feel more at home when you watch those versus the prequels. I feel like you're on the outside looking in instead of being on the streets with these people. So
they did a really good job with the Star Trek movies too.
Yeah, great job. And those movies are kind of like they're same but different, and he makes them feel that way. Even just from just the trailers, he makes Star Wars feel different than Star Trek. It's not like
he makes it feel like Star Wars. He makes Star Trek feel like Star Trek.
Right. It's not like they're similar, or there's certain directors you could tell it's their kind of movie. For example, like a Spielberg movie or even Zack Snyder, you could tell it's his kind of movie because it's very dark and it has similar themes and it's odd and superhero. And it would Steven Spielberg, it's usually like they're searching for something and family and values and like that kind of thing. So there's always these similar vibes. With J.J. Abrams, he just does whatever he feels will tell the best story. And so that's why I'm really excited that they picked him to be the director of Star Wars 7. Unfortunately, he doesn't come back for 8 or 9, but they did find a 9 director, which was the director from Jurassic World. So I think it's in pretty decent hands. And Rian Johnson will write and direct Episode 8, and he was a writer on Star Trek, the movies that J.J. Abrams did. And he'll direct the 8th one and then write a story for 8 and 9 to kind of tie them all together. So that's really exciting, and that's pretty much my list right there.
All right, so I've been looking online, and since you gave 3, I'll give a different 3.
Okay.
My first one is Straight Outta Compton.
Oh, yeah.
I'm a huge NWA fan, as well as the music, and it's basically a biopic about the time of their upbringing and how the world saw stereotypical black gangster thugs, whatever, and what they were telling being the truth, and people not really responding to that well. Paul Giamatti's in it as well. He plays the the head record producer, something like that. He's always in a role like that, where he's like in charge of something. But that's gonna be awesome. That comes out August 14th. The next one I'm really excited for because I'm a huge fan of this guy. Oh wait, is that no? Is it? Where is it? Where'd it go? Oh God. Oh no. Where is it? All right, I'll skip that one for now, and I'll go to the second one, which is The Martian. Which is basically Matt Damon and a bunch of astronauts are trying to go to Mars. There's a storm that happens, and Matt Damon ends up getting stranded and has to survive. Uh, and they realize he's still alive, and it's all about them trying to go rescue him. And it looks really cool. It looks like a really cool concept. Kristen Wiig's in it. Donald Glover's in it. Jeff Daniels. Looks like a really really great cast. So I'm looking forward to that. And I found it. This one. Martian comes out October 2nd, and October 9th, the following week, is The Walk, which stars Joseph Gordon-Levitt, and it's basically another biopic of this man who, back in the 70s or 80s, put a tightrope between the World Trade Center and walked along this tightrope back and forth a whole bunch of times.
I didn't know it was the World Trade Center.
Yeah, it was the Twin Towers all the way back in the 70s or 80s. And I first heard the story back when I took physics in high school. And I thought it was really, really cool with gravity and everything. But the fact that they're making this
Can you say that again? It got cut off.
Joseph Gordon-Levitt was about the whole physics class thing.
Just right after that.
With Joseph Gordon-Levitt. He's probably one of my favorite actors in Hollywood right now. His acting, his Record Now, his Record, which is basically a website where a bunch of freelance musicians just put their music up for everybody to hear. It's a really cool thing.
What was the website? It got cut off again.
Record Now or
Record Now.
Record Now, yeah, Record Now.
Okay.
I think that's what it is. Or just record. But it's a pretty cool website. But no, definitely excited for The Walk. So those are my three. And I don't know, not as big as Star Wars or James Bond or anything like that. So mainstream, Dan. God.
But you wanted to see those as well, like the ones I said, right?
Oh, of course I do.
Yeah.
Well, I want to see Creed so I can see if I can see myself. It's pretty much the only reason I'm going to see that. But no, I'm a huge Daniel Craig fan, and I'm really excited to see what they do with the Star Wars movie. It is hot as hell in my room right now. Oh my god.
It's hot outside.
It's very hot outside. It's very hot. Okay. So there's kind of new news now as far as what's going on in Arrow.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking about this for a little bit. They casted Mr. Terrific and Anarchy. Mr. Terrific, I'm not too familiar with as a hero, but the way it seems like he's the way they're describing it is he's one of those rich guys who's just super jacked and can just really good at crime fighting, all that kind of stuff. That's coming. He's supposed to be working for Palmer Technologies.
Okay.
And his name is Echo Kellum is the guy they casted for him. He hasn't been anything too major as long as the next guy, Alexander Calvert from Anarchy. Anarchy is just pretty much a anti-status person who's again an anarchist basically, and just going around trying to preach that, overthrow the government, blah blah blah. I'm pretty excited for that.
Yeah, and the Mr. Terrific is a gay character, so they're bringing a gay character to Arrow, which I thought we've had one. Well, they kind of.
No, that was Flash.
Oh, you're right.
Flash.
But they had Sarah and Nyssa kind of.
Yeah.
A little tease at that.
Yeah, I mean, no, it's cool. It's normal.
Right.
Nothing wrong with that.
Especially this day and age now with the the whole passing and everything. But again, that's a different conversation for a different day.
Yeah.
So yeah, it seems cool. I like that they're really expanding their view on superheroes and what they're bringing in, and they're making it bigger and bigger. The only thing is, we'll never see the big characters on the television world, so they have to kind of go with the smaller ones, which is kind of nice too, because then it gives these smaller heroes a chance as well.
Yeah, it creates for a good storyline. Anarchy or is going to be really great for Thea and Laurel to attack him, try to bring him down. It's going to be kind of a nice side villain to move the story along.
Right. And Mr. Terrific will be a hero, right?
Yes.
Okay, so and then on Flash, they brought in a pro wrestler whose name I can't remember to play the Atom Smasher, which I thought had to do with like the Atom, like Ray Palmer, but it doesn't sound like that way. It's just that he's just a big dude who like goes after the Flash and everything. So he'll be a
they casted the Edge? No way! That's awesome.
Oh, the Edge is who's playing him. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man, that is so cool.
So he'll be playing the Atom Smasher, yeah, and then be a foe to the Flash. Pretty soon, I think. Actually, it's pretty early on that he faces him. I'm pretty sure.
That's awesome. No, I remember I was a huge fan of like WWE growing up as a kid. I actually went to Monday Night Raw at Hershey, where Edge and his girlfriend Lita had sex because he won the Elimination Chamber. I don't know. My dad made us leave early, so we didn't see anything. Unfortunately, I was in like 5th grade, but huge fan of the Edge. Really excited for that. I had no clue about that until you just mentioned it. That is awesome. This is like real emotion right now. I'm really excited.
Yeah, it sounds like he was a pretty big wrestling name, so that's kind of cool that they're getting some names in there.
No, that's awesome. That's really cool.
Cool.
All right, so we're going to talk about our final thing now. We're just getting about that time. So Dan and I had the pleasure, it was a true pleasure, to see the Foo Fighters in concert on Wednesday.
Wednesday at
Citi Field in New York where the Mets play. And they are just true rock and rollers.
Yep, absolutely.
There's a true rock and roll concert. It was fantastic. You want to talk about what you thought about it?
Well, at first we got there. The show started at like 7:30 as far as the opening act, but we got there like 5:30, and they let us in at that time.
We were general admission. We were standing on the floor.
Right, and so we got to go in. We got to stand and everything, and we were all like, "Well, let's stand here." We took shifts. Okay, you want to go to the bathroom? I'll stand here. You go get food, whatever. And when we were standing there, and people are bumping into you and stuff, I was like, I don't know if I'm going to enjoy this now. I'm standing here. I can't really see, and all this kind of stuff. So I thought it was almost going to give me a bad taste for the Foo Fighters simply because of my concert experience, and I was like, I really hope that this doesn't happen. When the show started, all of that just went out the window, and I was just like, this is pure awesome.
They opened with Everlong, which is probably one of their top 3 most popular songs.
Mm-hmm.
And it was so intense because Dave Grohl is just screaming like before he like gets started with the concert. There's like a big tarp over the stage that covers the entire stage, so you don't see him set up. And it has like the Foo Fighters logo on it. And like as it like starting to play, Dave's like, "Are you fucking ready? Are you fucking ready?" It's just so intense. And the tarp drops, and they start playing the riff for Everlong, and people are just going fucking nuts. And it's just so cool, man. They started off like a lot of like the more popular songs. They played Everlong, then they did
Monkey Wrench.
Monkey Wrench, Learn to Fly. There's another one. Well, I think we talked about this last episode, the episode before, one of these episodes. Dave Grohl broke his leg in Sweden.
Mm-hmm.
He tripped and he fell off the stage and broke his leg. So currently, when he plays shows, he's sitting in this like big fucking throne. With like lights on the side, Foo Fighters logo. There's like guitar necks coming out the side, and his like legs propped up where he like plays guitar and sings and everything. And this fucking throne, it was at like the stage, and then it was like the stage, and then the stage kind of came out with kind of like a catwalk, and the throne like moved forward, like through this catwalk. So it was like the edge of the stage, and we're probably from like the edge of the catwalk. We're probably like 6 rows like next to him.
Mm-hmm.
Which we'll put up pictures on Instagram of how far away we were for the concert, but it was so cool. They played Pretender, which is obviously they played Pretender, but Pretender is probably my favorite song of the Foo Fighters, as well as like the music video in the background and everything. That was super cool. They did a My Hero acoustic version, which I thought it sounded better than the recorded version with the full band. I thought that sounded really, really cool.
Yeah, and I love My Hero. That's probably one of my favorites. That and Walk, and hearing it acoustically, and then having like the audience come in and sing it with you and doing a verse. That's where I like live is just like so much cooler. And being able to just have and we all sing along, even though half of us can't sing, me being one of those people.
Yes, it is.
Thank you. And so but it doesn't matter because we're just singing, we're getting behind that song, and I love the whole idea behind it and everything. So that was really cool for me. Even though he was standing in a throne, he even said even though I'm sitting here, I'm gonna rock even harder as if I was standing, and he did. I think
it definitely. I mean, I want to see him again with him not, leg fucking broken.
Right.
But no, it was fantastic. They played bunch of different cover songs. They played a Queen song,
Under Pressure.
They played a Police song, which Taylor Hawkins sang, but he didn't remember the words. So the one time I was like, I don't know the fucking words, and then they start jamming out. They did a AC/DC song, Into All My Life. What was the AC/DC song?
Let There Be Rock.
Let There Be Rock, and they transitioned from that into All My Life, and All My Life is the most, probably one of the most fucking intense songs Foo Fighters play, and to go into that and just have all that energy. Oh man, it was so cool. So cool.
And then this one was pretty special, and I'm glad we went to this show versus the next day.
Yes.
Because we were leaving, and they don't do encores, the Foo Fighters. If people have seen them before, you know that they don't do encores. And we were leaving, and we're like, oh, well, we didn't know that, obviously, at the time. But we're walking out. All of a sudden, they come back out. We're like, oh, okay, I guess it's an encore. Turns out, Dave Grohl goes, oh, we have a special guest tonight. It's Chad Smith, the drummer from Foo Fighters. And Red Hot Chili Peppers, excuse me, not Foo Fighters. Red Hot Chili Peppers, we were just like, that's awesome. And he got on the drums,
so
and he sang, or they did Stay With Me by The Faces, which a lot of people don't know the song, but it's a really cool song. I ended up buying the actual song on iTunes because I liked it a lot. And Taylor came out and did the frontman, who's a frontman, and he sang for it, which he's actually a pretty cool frontman. He does a nice job, and it'd be interesting. It's almost like in baseball, when the catcher gets old, they throw him on third base just to mix it up a little bit, or first base or something. They should do that with Taylor once in a while. Just let him go out a little bit. Maybe let Dave sit on the drums for a song or two, and let
which would be fun.
Yeah, and then let Taylor be a frontman for just a couple songs just to mix it up. So that was cool. But just overall, fantastic job. The production was great. Sound quality was great, and I thought I was gonna go deaf or something like that, but it really wasn't that loud. But they played well.
The only loud thing was this fucking guy behind us who was whistling really loud.
Right, that was piercing.
No, but me and Jake, you guys heard Jake on our last episode. We sat down almost towards the end of the song because our legs are fucking tired. I got tendonitis in both my knees. Jake's a really big guy, so he probably can't. It's hard for him to stand for a long period of time. But I was rocking out because we were talking about, all right, they played all the songs. They played Best of You. They played All My Life, The Pretender, Learn to Fly, Everlong, Monkey Wrench, Walk. All these, they played all their hits. What else is left? So we're like, all right, it's obviously over, so we're just gonna go. So we start walking, and then the whole, we normally don't do encores, but fucking Chad Smith's here. And I'm standing there Will Ferrell is here. So it was Chad Smith is probably one of the greatest rock and roll drummers of the modern era. He's phenomenal. He's so quick, so melodic with the way he just bangs the shit out of the drums. It was probably my favorite concert I've ever seen. Probably my favorite concert.
And obviously, Greg, you could probably comment on this a little more. It was probably even harder for him to walk onto somebody else's drum set and play that well, because obviously they have it very custom to them.
Yeah, I think we talked about this in the car. I was like, do you think he warmed up before he came out?
I don't think he did.
Because what I was thinking is he was probably playing on a drum pad, just trying to get his fingers warmed up. But if he went on there cold and threw down like that, holy fucking shit!
Mm-hmm.
He played some notes, man. He played some fucking notes.
Yeah, definitely, really cool. If you ever get a chance to watch the Foo Fighters, do that. Or if you haven't listened to them before, do that. Especially, well, I can't really say one album over the other. They're all cool, and they all have their hits. And they also have their flaws and stuff too. But overall, just a really cool rock band. And Dave Grohl, as a human being, obviously I've never met him personally, but I just have this strong feeling that he's just a really all-around cool person and someone that you would want to hang out with and be friends with. I want to be his friend.
Yeah, Dave, come on the show, man.
I would love if we ever got this enough viewership that he could come on and talk about anything.
Let's start a campaign. Bring on Dave.
All right, let's do it.
Hashtag bring on Dave, guys. Let's get it trending.
Yes, and I don't know when he comes back to New Jersey or in the area, but we would go to you if that was if we needed to.
We'll go. Yeah, we'll fly out. It's okay.
We'll
spend the money.
True, and to get an interview like that.
Too, if you want to.
What's that?
I'll buy him dinner too, whatever he wants.
Right. I just want to hang out with Dave Grohl. So if somebody can make that happen, we would love that. And I think that's all I got. What do you think, Greg?
No, I think that's good enough for today. Okay. Be sure to follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Geekcast Network, as well as like us on Facebook. You can check out our YouTube page, the Geekcast production as well. We're on iTunes. We're kind of on iTunes still.
iTunes.
Have you uploaded the third episode?
Well, all right. iTunes is giving me the runaround as far as episodes.
Still?
Yeah, I'm working on it.
Okay.
Just know that we're here on YouTube. We have a nice presence here, and we're working on that. But everything, all you got to do is search Geekcast Network. That's GEEKKAST, one word, and then network, and we'll all come up. And we'd love to hear from you. So,
definitely. We also have a website.
Yep. That's geekcast.weebly, weebly.com. We're still in the process of getting it going, updating it, and all that stuff. But it's there. It exists.
We have all our episodes on it. Videos. There's a tab for movie news we're trying to keep up on as far as new stuff that's coming out. I just added a new tab today, for our picks of the week. So if you guys are interested in checking out our picks of the week, we'll be having links to information about all the things we've talked about on our website. And there's also contact information. You can email us. You can tweet at us. Please, talk to us. We want to talk to you. Talk to us, please. Ask us questions. Say what you like or don't like about the show. Give us a rating. We really want to hear from you guys. We really want this to kind of be an interactive podcast where we can, talk and, bounce ideas back and forth and all that kind of stuff. So please, reach out to us. The email address is geekcast2015@gmail.com, as well as that. So, please reach out, guys. And Dan mentioned this earlier at the beginning of the podcast today. I know we joke all the time that, we have 9 viewers, 11 viewers, whatever. We just joke because it's so many people who start podcasts nowadays have already built a fan base and they already have followers, and it's just easy for them to get their recognition. We're starting out this fresh, and those of you who are following us, we love you guys. We really do, because we have no personal background of making a name for ourselves in the world. We're just two kids go to school together who really like hearing our own voices and want to talk about all new movie, music, TV show, all that kind of stuff. So really love you guys. Really appreciate it. Just be sure to share our videos and all that kind of, I think that's it.
And that was Greg that said share our videos. He got a little digi right there. But
yay Skype, yay Wi-Fi.
Don't worry. Within another month or so, we'll actually be in the same room and we'll have the same microphones. So we'll sound the same. I won't sound louder than him or better quality than him. We will sound the same at one point, I promise.
I believe we get a video going too.
We could possibly do a video. We'll see. But who wants to see our ugly mugs? It's bad enough they had to hear our voice.
Yeah, exactly.
So that'll do it for another episode of Geekcast the podcast. I'm Dan Whitehead.
I'm Greg St. Clair.
Party on.
Party on.